Welcome back to Timeline in History. Today we're diving into one of the most fascinating, and often misunderstood, dynasties in modern history, the Rothschilds. From a small ghetto in Frankfurt to the heights of European finance, their story spans more than 2 centuries of power, innovation, and cultural influence. It's a story about ambition, timing, and the ways money can shape history itself. Our journey begins in 18th century Frankfurt, in a narrow street known as the Judengasse, the Jewish quarter of the city. Life there was constrained by laws limiting where Jewish families could live, what professions they could enter, and even how they could display wealth. Yet out of those confines came Mayer Amschel Rothschild, born in 1744, who would lay the foundation for one of history's most remarkable family enterprises. The family name Rothschild literally means red shield, taken from the red sign that hung over their family home. In a world before numbered addresses, houses were marked by symbols, and that red shield became the family's lasting emblem. Mayer began his career as a coin dealer and antiques trader, developing an expert eye for rare and valuable objects. His skill and honesty soon attracted the attention of the Elector of Hesse-Kassel, one of the richest princes in the Holy Roman Empire. By the 1760s, Mayer had become a trusted financial agent for the Elector, managing investments and arranging currency exchanges. This position gave him access to Europe's political elite, a network he would use to expand his influence far beyond Frankfurt. What made Mayer truly visionary was his understanding that money was no longer about gold locked in vaults, but about trust, credit, and communication. He realized that if you could build a network of reliable partners who shared information quickly and discreetly, you could move money faster and more securely than anyone else. Mayer and his wife Gutla had 10 children, 5 of whom were sons who would become the pillars of an international banking dynasty. Amschel stayed in Frankfurt to manage the home branch. Salomon went to Vienna to work with the Habsburg Empire. Nathan, perhaps the most famous of them all, settled in London. Karl took Naples, and the youngest, James, established himself in Paris. Together they became known as the Five Arrows, a symbol later adopted into the Rothschild family crest. This structure was revolutionary. In an age when wars could disrupt borders and delay communications for weeks, the Rothschilds created a fast, private courier system that connected all 5 cities. Their messengers carried letters coded in family ciphers, allowing them to share financial information before governments or competitors could. In essence, they built the world's first multinational financial intelligence network. One of their most famous early successes came during the Napoleonic Wars. Nathan Rothschild, based in London, played a key role in financing the British war effort. He helped organize loans, moved gold across Europe to pay soldiers, and even managed currency exchanges during the chaos of war. After the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, his ability to act on information quickly helped him secure vast profits by stabilizing post-war markets. Contrary to the later legends, Nathan didn't control the outcome of Waterloo, but he certainly understood how information and timing could turn news into opportunity. By the 1820s, the 5 brothers were some of the most influential financiers in Europe. They issued loans to governments, helped stabilize national currencies, and financed massive infrastructure projects like railways and mines. Their method of underwriting government bonds became a model for modern investment banking. The Rothschild name became synonymous with reliability. When a government or monarch needed funding, a Rothschild loan was as good as gold. Their reach extended far beyond banking. In Austria, Salomon's branch financed railroads that helped modernize the empire. In France, James became a patron of the arts and a trusted advisor to the monarchy. In Britain, Nathan's descendants invested in industries ranging from mining to wine. The Rothschilds were not just bankers. They were builders of the 19th century economy. In 1822, the Austrian Emperor Francis I recognized the brothers' influence by granting them hereditary baronial titles. For a Jewish family in Europe, This was an extraordinary leap in status. Their rise challenged the deeply entrenched social barriers of the time. In Britain, Lionel de Rothschild continued that legacy when, after years of struggle, he became the first Jewish member of Parliament in 1858. His election was a landmark moment in the slow march toward Jewish emancipation in Europe. Wealth, of course, brought scrutiny and jealousy. The Rothschilds became the subject of fascination, gossip, and later conspiracy. Their ability to move funds between countries made them seem almost superhuman in an age before modern banking technology. In truth, their success came from careful strategy, relentless communication, and an insistence on discretion and integrity. Yet the family was not defined solely by business. Their philanthropy was extensive. Guided by Jewish values of charity, they built hospitals, schools, and housing for the poor. They sponsored scientific research, funded cultural institutions, and collected art on a grand scale. Estates like Waddesdon Manor in England and Château Lafite in France reflected their artistic passion as much as their financial success. By the late 19th century, the Rothschilds were household names across Europe. They had financed the construction of the Suez Canal, invested in mining operations in Spain, and supported national banks from Vienna to Paris. Their family motto, Concordia, Integritas, Industria, Harmony, Integrity, Industry, captured their guiding philosophy. But their prominence also made them targets. As nationalism and anti-Semitism grew in Europe during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the Rothschilds became the focus of baseless accusations. Pamphlets and false stories portrayed them as puppet masters controlling global events. These myths, which still circulate today, distort history and ignore the complex realities of 19th century finance. The truth is that the Rothschilds were influential, but they operated within and often served the same political systems as other great banking families of the era. The 20th century brought enormous upheaval. World War I reshaped economies, and the fall of empires ended many of the family's traditional banking relationships. During World War II, the Nazis targeted Jewish families and seized Rothschild properties in Austria and France. Some members fled to safety, while others fought to preserve the family's legacy amid persecution and loss. After the war, the Rothschilds rebuilt, adapting to a changing world. The family shifted focus from sovereign loans to private banking and asset management. They diversified into investment consulting, wine production, and philanthropy. Today, Rothschild & Co. remains one of the world's leading independent financial advisory firms, still guided by descendants of the original family. Their story is more than a tale of wealth. It's a mirror of European history itself. From the Enlightenment to industrialization, from war to modern capitalism, the Rothschilds were both participants in and witnesses to sweeping social and political change. Their journey highlights how innovation, family unity, and adaptability can sustain a legacy across generations. Studying the Rothschilds reminds us that finance is never just about numbers. It's about people, relationships, and trust. Mayer Amschel's principles of prudence and integrity guided his descendants for centuries. The family's ability to work together, even across borders and rivalries, remains one of the great examples of cooperation in business history. There are 3 lessons we can learn from their story. First, innovation. The Rothschild model of international communication, information sharing, and credit creation anticipated the globalized economy. Second, social mobility. Their rise from a Frankfurt ghetto to the heights of European aristocracy illustrates how persistence and strategy can challenge entrenched barriers. And third, perspective. Separating fact from fiction is vital, especially in a world where wealth and influence can easily become the focus of myth. The Rothschilds' name still carries weight today, not because they secretly control world events, but because they built systems that shaped modern banking and philanthropy. Their legacy is written in the railways they financed, the art they collected, and the charities that still bear their name. Their story is ultimately about transformation, how a single family, through innovation and resilience, helped shape the financial and cultural map of modern Europe. And though times have changed, the lessons of their journey, discipline, trust, and the power of networks remain timeless. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the Rothschilds' remarkable history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's most influential families, give the video a like, subscribe for more stories from the past, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next exploration. Remember, understanding history isn't just about learning what happened. It's about discovering how those stories continue to shape our world today.